Hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those streams where it's like super flaky. So we'll have to play it by ear. One problem I did have was when I started the stream, I have two Wi-Fi networks at home, long story, and it was on the wrong one. It was like this old one that's kind of bandwidth, like it's slower, and I think that was, I think that was the issue I had. Okay, I'm gonna press on. So, okay, hi. Hi, yeah, thanks. Like I was saying, I hope this doesn't turn into one of those live streams. I've been on live streams where it just crashed repeatedly for the person doing it. So let's keep our fingers crossed that that isn't what happens today. So anyway, starting over again. I may end up like splicing the two live streams together and re-uploading both of these, like, and unlisting these, so the video will still be out there if anybody wants to look at it afterwards. Anyway, so yeah, the plan is to look at a few targets today. I'm in a terribly light polluted area, but my backyard luckily doesn't have much direct light in it. But the sky brightness is about as bad as you can get. So I decided I was going to try to quantify this. I downloaded this app called Dark Sky Meter, and I'm going to try going outside and seeing if it can quantify how bad the skies are here. So hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna just go right out the door here. I'll be right back. So it said so there's this unit of measure called the SQM, which has to do with the illumination of the sky, and it says the SQM is 17. So let's look that up and just see how bad it is. Sky SQM, and let's see. Can I do this? There we go. Okay. The lowest number is 16, and I have 17.3, which isn't great. What does 17.3 work out to be? It's bad. Let me see, Bortle scale. The Bortle scale, SQM of 17. Yeah, which is what I always would say. We're like Bortle 8, 9, which is about as bad as it can get. So I have shown it, I have quantified it, that it is, I mean, it's not they have instruments that kind of professional instruments that cost a few $100s. This is just an app, but it seems to agree with things. Now, as a strange aside to all this, I have a red flashlight today that I need to use when I'm going out there, because true story, we had a raccoon in the backyard. I think I'll close this. We may live in a city, but we still have raccoons. So it was like staring in through the window. what do you call it? Harassing the dogs. So that was fun. Anyway, so I need to be careful when I go out there, lest there be a raccoon out there. So let's get to it. So the seeing is going to be a little iffy tonight. It's windy, but let's get to Orion. So I have the telescopes outside, and let me see. No, I don't want to update the firmware. Can you like not do that? Okay, fine. So I'm going to update the firmware on one of the Seestars, so you'll get to see that. See the Seestar firmware. I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, we'll get to this in a minute, but we'll see what if there's any new functionality. Yeah. Let me. Was that the oh no? Was that the firmware update or the raccoons? Either one. I'll have to post a photo on the community board of I was out late one night. Last time it was clear, and on the fence I saw this silhouette, and I thought it was a cat initially, and then I look and I realize it was I took a photo with my phone and I realized it was a raccoon, and it was staring at me, and it didn't move. It was sitting there for a while, so I was a little leery of waiting for the raccoon to. I didn't want to. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 The raccoon. Yeah. That was. I mean, it was messing with the dogs the other day. I mean, through a window, but I saw the fact it was staring at me kind of was unnerving. And it was when I had my telescope out, so that's why I have the. It's a nice little flashlight. It's a. I mean, it only does red. It's a solistron, so you can see it's only. It kind of blew it out, but it's like 3 levels of brightness, and it's a battery bank, so you can plug in. You can charge your phone or other accessories with it. It's handy. Okay. So it claims it has updated the firmware. Update successful. Okay. Which one? Okay. So so interesting. It says no internet. I wonder if it's just because okay, yeah. It's because it had just rebooted. So there is internet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go look at Orion, and we'll see how this works. I have a dog in the background that's a little grumpy. So let's see, M42. Let's go ahead and go M42. Actually, before I do this, I want to double check that the thing is level. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I got that little leveling base, and it's really kept it pretty good. So let's go to M42, and it's about as high in the sky as it's going to be, so that's good. So Orion is kind of cool. So okay, so Orion's a constellation, and the Orion Nebula, M42, which used to be called the Great Orion Nebula, is one of the brightest nebula in the sky, and it's a place where stars are being born. It's a collection of gas and dust, and there's literally hundreds of stars in there in various stages of formation. It's about 1,000 light years away, the nebula, and it's big. It's physically big. It's like 24 light years across, which is further than from here to like the nearest stars that we see in the sky. And it's if you could see it, all of it with your eye, it would be twice the size of the moon. But in our sky, but it's enormous. It weighs a couple thousand times that of the sun. And when you're looking at Orion, the constellation, so there's kind of the live view of it. But this is I find this part kind of really cool. Let me share my browser here. So Orion itself. So this was a photo from Wikipedia, which I find fascinating. This is Orion, and you can almost not recognize it because it's a very deep image of Orion. But like here's Betelgeuse, and then here's the belt stars. Like you can see these stars with your naked eye just about everywhere. Even here you can see it. And then they call this the sword. There's some stars here that you can see with your eye. I don't know if I can actually do this with a camera. That might be too much to do it live. Yeah, it's so you can see kind of in the sword this like these three stars, and the middle one is actually not a star. It's actually the nebula. There's stars in it, but what you're actually seeing is kind of the whole, like this collection of gas and stuff. And that's what we're seeing in this. Like this is kind of what you would see with just binoculars or a telescope, a small telescope, or even with your naked eye. You see kind of this fuzzy patch. You don't see this. Now, what I really find kind of fascinating about this is hold on. What I find fascinating about this is like we think about the Orion Nebula a lot, but that's just a small part of it, of this complex. Like this up here around the belt of Orion is where the Horsehead Nebula is, and the Flame Nebula, and then this big arc here is it's called Barnard's Loop, I believe. Barnard's Loop. And it's all part of this big, massive complex. But that's not even all of it. In the 70s, they realized that there was this super bubble. And so here's the loop, and there's this much bigger structure, not including this part, but this much bigger structure that you can image like with very deep exposures and probably very dark skies. And it's like 1,000 light years across, this kind of Orion Eratinus super bubble. And it was cleared out, and this huge volume was cleared out by some supernovas like millions of years ago, which I just find fascinating. That like this large structure in an area that's widely studied really didn't get kind of identified until the 70s. That's I find that fascinating. But our ambitions tonight are much smaller. So we're going to look at, so I'm going to just start the exposure on, I'm just going to start the exposure on this. And it's going to calibrate the horizon status, and I think it's going to fail because I have this massively obstructed sky. But hopefully it'll figure it out. Yeah, so this takes a little bit of time. And the problem is if I cancel it, it just cancels the whole exposure. Oh, nice. Nice. Hi there. You're looking at the Rosette Nebula. Nice. Uh, thank you. I'm glad you found that helpful. Uh, I live in Bortle like 8-9. It's really bad here. I actually quantified it with my phone. It's like not. I mean, I take it with a grain of salt, but it kind of correlates with what I see, which is not much. Um, so yeah, we're it's pretty bad light pollution, and then plus I have building obstruction, so I have even uh, worse issues. Um, but oh, I'm just waiting for it to. Okay, so it was trying to calibrate how level it is, even though it seems pretty level. Now it's doing kind of its internal dark frames, um, which unfortunately, maybe one day they'll expose that in a firmware update, um, but not yet. So, oh wow, Chicago. Um, yeah, that's the nice thing about Orion is you can see it in pretty bright skies, even without a telescope. And plus, since the Seestar has the light pollution filter in it, it greatly helps that. Um, but yeah, I'm near the center of not Chicago, but Houston. So comparable. Chicago's a bit bigger, but Houston's pretty badly light polluted. So, and then we also have problems sometimes of year with the with haze, a lot of haze because we're near the Gulf of Mexico. So we get a lot of. Oh yeah, okay. So now we're cooking here. Although you notice it doesn't actually show time. It doesn't actually show time there initially, and the stars were a little trailed. Hmm. Like I was saying, that the conditions aren't ideal here right now. It's a bit windy, so I'm gonna I'm just gonna keep letting it go. Um, Now this is going to be an experiment, and I hope I don't mess up the stream. Um, but before we move on, so this is the Orion Nebula M42, and there's like stars in here in various stages of formation. Some of them in the very core are actually only a few 100,000 years old, like they're only about as old as humanity, which is kind of cool. For stars, I mean, stars are usually millions or billions of years old, so the fact there's stars in here, I've actually seen numbers where they said there might be stars like 10,000 years old in the very core here, which would make them only a little older than I mean, like there's human settlements, like the early cities in like the Levant area are almost that old or about that old, which is kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, and so this is, I think that's M43. And yeah, it's interesting. Like I was looking at the future history of this, that since there are these stars being formed here, like over time, over the next few or 100,000 years, this will eventually, the Earth will kind of move away from Orion, and so you wouldn't be able to see it as easily anymore. And plus, I had seen something, I don't know what the time scale was, but that as more of the stars form, the winds of these new stars, the stellar shock wave and gas and the wind pressure of from these hot young stars will dissipate some of the nebula. over time. And but I don't. I was trying to find out the time frame of that, of how many more hundreds of thousands of years this might hang around. But you know, not that's a future person problem, not mine. um, yeah, and so like the core stars in here, the trapezium was first identified by Galileo, which is kind of cool. So yeah, so I'm just going to keep letting this go, but this is where things get a bit experimental, and hopefully I don't break the stream again. God, I hope I don't break it. Okay. I have, but wait, there's more. Ha ha ha. Oh my God. Hey, did I glitch? Am I back? Okay, good. Okay, so I won't be able to do what I was hoping to do, and thanks. Um, I don't know what happened. I am not 100% sure why that isn't working, but basically I was trying to tether my phone and that ended up breaking the connection, and I'm not 100% sure why it broke the stream, so I won't be able to do that. But maybe actually, sorry, let me see if I can. Nah, I won't be able to. I don't think I'll be able to do what I wanted to do, which is okay. But what I was going to do is, since I have, this is actually the Seestar app running on my laptop. And so I was going to tether my phone and connect, because I actually have two Seestars. And I think I've mentioned this before. I pre-ordered them when they were still kind of back-ordered back in summer. And I really wanted to get one before the eclipse back in October, the partial eclipse. And the problem was so I ordered one, I pre-ordered one, and then I pre-ordered the other. I pre-ordered another one, but from a different place. And they both ended up showing up like after the eclipse in October, but back to back. So it was kind of interesting. So I ended up with two, but and I almost canceled one of the orders, but I decided not to. So what I'm going to do here, so let's go back to the app. So I'm connected to this one. I'm going to have to go outside with my flashlight, because I think the other one turned itself off because it hadn't been doing anything. So let me go turn that on with my flashlight, lest I have some problem. Okay. I was shining. I heard something out there. Oops. I I set off the dogs. I heard something out there, and I thought it was the raccoon, and I think what happened is anyway, it wasn't, and I was shining the light around, and I need to make sure that I didn't mess up the image because I shined on the telescope. Okay, it still looks good. All right, so I'm going to try connecting. See, let me flex that. I've got two Seestars. I mean, they're not that, I mean, the great thing about them, I would not necessarily recommend getting two because it can be challenging to try to run both at the same time. So it doesn't really buy you a ton. Now it's the other one's time to update the firmware. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend having two because at least at this point, because the app kind of gets confused if you try to switch back and forth between them. So I get around it by either having one on my home network and one just kind of in its normal mode and just switching the Wi-Fi back and forth, or what I'm doing now where I have the phone connected to one and the app on my laptop connected to the other. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, even if they are fairly inexpensive as such things go. So yeah, I'm going to let that update the firmware. And what else? I'm not sure. I'm getting like these stacking errors. I'm not sure how long I want to let this one go. How long I want to let this specific exposure run. I'm not sure. I had hoped to have both of these on screen at the same time so I could kind of bounce back and forth between them. But I'm hesitant to try doing it again lest I break the stream again. Okay, the other one is done with the firmware. One thing that would be interesting, and I'll see if this actually works. So you see, here's my album, and these are previous things I've taken, but it tends to put from both of them. So I'll see if I can possibly do a second target, and then once I'm done, it'll get uploaded into the album, and then we can see it on this screen. But we'll see. Okay, I'm connected, and I'm gonna, and I've shared the screen with this before, so I don't know what I did differently this time. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did. I'll have to experiment with that because I would like to be able to bring both of them onto stream at the same time. So I'll show you where I am in the app. I'm kind of looking at, oh, this is interesting. So it shows things that are coming up. Venus will be near Mars in late February. So that's kind of cool. What I was thinking of doing, now the problem is some of these targets, like Andromeda and Triangulum Nebula, which is actually a galaxy, you can see those if you didn't have an obstructed west, but I do, so I can't see these right now. I took photos of them a couple of months ago, but I can't right now. So let's see. Let me see. All right. Sorry, I'm tidying up my desktop here. All right. Again, the best laid plans. I think what I'm going to do is you go into the Sky Atlas. I don't know why I'm looking up there. That's where the broadcast screen is. And I'm going to go to no. I'm going to go to the Horsehead Nebula. So I'm going to go to this on the other telescope. And Sky Atlas, search. And I already had gone to it recently, so I'm going to it right now. And it's tracking. So yeah, but I can't go to it on, I'm imaging something here, so let's see how this is going. It's only 7 minutes. How long has this exposure been going on? It's been going on longer than that. But it's been dropping a lot of frames, and I think it's because it's windy. On the other hand, it's no extra effort. You just kind of put it outside and go, and it just takes photos. If it takes longer because it's throwing away frames because it's windy or something, it's just takes longer. Meanwhile, I'm sitting inside and it's cool outside, so it's fine. It's still trying to find. I really, really want to be able to share this, but you can kind of see it's kind of trying to track to the subject. It's kind of moving and saying no, overshot. Okay, so it got to it, and so I'm just going to start imaging. It's going through that same calibration phase right now. So I'm going to see how long this goes. I might end up switching to another target here. Yeah, because I was wanting to. I didn't want this to go on too long. I figured I'd probably do this for at least an hour, but because of the technical snafus here, it's already been 40 minutes. But that's okay. The stars are still there. If not, it would be a problem. It's trying to do the calibration point. Now, the one thing, actually, that's something I want to check into. I want to see if I might be able to see the Rosette Nebula, since that was mentioned as a target someone else is looking at right now. Oh, I don't know what happened with that. It's doing weird things. We'll go with okay. So it is, it's high enough in the sky. I can actually image that here. Maybe I'll bail on Orion, since we already got some data here. It's been having some problems like stacking, so it's only gotten about 8 minutes. I've done up to 42-minute exposures of Orion, but it's it's pretty cool. You can see the dust lanes here. You can see different dust lanes, and you can see you can really see the texture there. And I could certainly add these frames to the other images I've already done and kind of combine them into a deeper image. So we'll end it at that. We'll end it at that. And yeah, so let's go back to the Rosette Nebula. And Rosette, Andrew C, Angie. So I picked NGC 2244, which isn't the same thing as the Rosette Nebula, but it's the cluster of stars in the Rosette Nebula. So I couldn't remember. forgot the number, even though we were just looking at 2237, I guess, is what it was. Now, of course, the example photos they have there are, taken longer exposures and bigger frame stuff. So you can see it's only going to be looking at the core of it. And it's back. Okay, so let's start. I hate to do an autofocus here, but 1734. I feel like I should probably do the Batinoff mask, which is this little it's a standard thing you can use to kind of manually focus, use it to help get like good focus. But I don't know where it is, and I'm not going to go look for it right now. Meanwhile, it's kind of dim, but let me see if I can brighten the image up. You can kind of see, you can kind of start seeing the horse head. This is from the other one. It's got about a minute of data so far. Actually, that looks better. The camera, funny enough, is picking up more detail than I can see looking at the phone directly, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, you can see the horse head right there, that dark area with the kind of with the red over here. That's the red nebula with the horse head. Now that takes. I usually have to do a long exposure for the horse head because it's not that bright, and especially where with the light pollution filter on it. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I guess the focus was okay, so I'm just gonna go. It's interesting because like the focus point is different on the two of them. Like this one is like 1700, and then the my other one, like the 0 point is like 1500. It's just two different telescopes. Now this one, you can kind of, so you can kind of start seeing the stars in the cluster. I mean, in the core of the rosette. But after a few more exposures, you'll see more of it. Yeah, see, the object is so big, it's like outside the frame. So we'll see. We'll let that go for a bit. I don't seem to be getting as many stacking errors on the on the Horsehead Nebula, and I wonder if some of it's the tripod I'm using for this other one, because I'm not using the stock tripod. I'm using a telescope tripod. I had a central column on it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, here it is. It had this central what do you call it, pier extension, and I took it off because I was afraid it was contributing to the vibration and the stacking errors, but it's still this one's still coming up with the stacking errors, whereas the other one is it's up to 3 minutes, and I didn't start that too long ago. Yeah, you can really start seeing the horse head is starting. And again, it's funny because I swear it's more visible on my camera imaging my phone screen than when I look at the phone screen directly. But I can definitely see the horse head. And you can also see over here the flame nebula. And when I'm done with these, I'll put them maybe on the community wall or something. One thing I've been thinking about doing, I had created a Patreon ages ago, and Patreon lets you can either have a standalone Discord server or you can link it to Patreon. So I'm thinking of doing that, or just having the Discord. because I've already used it once. Someone had a question recently about processing images and or not processing, but like some of the Seestar images, and like there's no good way to share it on YouTube. I mean, I can share things on my channel, but other people can't post photos. And so we looked at it on Discord. So I need to I want to set up a few more groups on it and stuff, and then I'll probably either put it mention it on the community board or in the next stream, or both probably. So you can start seeing. So here I think is the central cluster of the rosette. And actually, I should be able to look it up in my photo album because I've looked at this previously. One thing I won't be able to do tonight are these galaxies. I'm really looking for, so if you look at, does it show when this photo was taken? Yeah, look, this was taken at 2 in the morning, just a few days ago. This is the Leo triplet, and the good thing is, well, starting in March and April, these will be up in the sky earlier. Like from my location, I can't really see them before like midnight right now because of obstructions. But within a month or two, they'll be very prominent, and it'll be kind of the galaxy season. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, some of the targets are definitely going to be a bit too small, but like these are pretty decent size. I mean, I mean, this is a single exposure, 3 galaxies. So let me see. Here was another one, NGC 2903, and you can definitely see the spiral structure. But again, it's kind of small in the photo, but it'll be interesting because there's some other galaxies that are better size. So here's a photo I had taken of the rosette. It was a half-hour exposure about a few weeks ago. So we'll keep this going for a little bit longer. Probably won't do it for the full half hour. Here's another one. This one was another half-hour exposure. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think half an hour you can get some good imaging. How much was this one? This was a 45-minute one. I think I might do this one next. This one is the Monkey Head Nebula. Oh, I guess, is this the eye and this is the mouth? Maybe? It's like laying on its side. I don't know. But I've taken a few images of it. So here was another session where I got also about half an hour. And so I'm hoping to get more photos of this and then combine them into one. Yeah, this is getting a lot of stacking errors, so I might abandon mission on this particular one. Well, or maybe I'll let it go a little longer. Because you can start seeing some colors in here. At least I can on my screen. And you can start seeing like these dark lanes here of dust. Like those are real structures. And like I say, I mean, I live in a really badly polluted area, so I'm really happy that I'm able to get these kind of images at all. And with very little effort. I mean, I just put it outside, and I mean, you're seeing it. This is what I do. Or I'll like kick it off and then I'll go, do something else. So, meanwhile, let's check back in on the yeah, you can see this is really, I'm trying to not get glare on the screen. You can really see it's starting to, you know, starting to turn out nicely. Both a bit of the Flame Nebula, oops, wrong side, Flame Nebula, and then the Horsehead in there. And this bright star here is that bright star is one of the belt stars, the leftmost belt star in Orion. It's Alanac. What is it called? How do you pronounce it? I hate that I'm like, right. There we go. It's Orion's belt. Alnitak. I forgot the T. Alnitak. So, so that. So this this bright star is Alnitak, which is kind of cool. Like it's like a whole hidden world. You know, you can see with your eye Orion and the belt, and there's like two nebula like right on each side of it. I think that's awesome. Um, but yeah, so here we're starting to get more detail. Um, so I'm gonna let that go for a little bit longer. Yeah, I mean it's such a bummer. Like this, I've already got 7 minutes worth of data from the almost 8 minutes from the horse head. So I might press on and just go to the monkey head. What do we think? We'll do monkey head. The dogs are very vocal today, unfortunately. It's Hi there. Hi Paulette. It's let me see. What am I was going to go to with the monkey head nebula. Um, so let's go to, there's multiple ways of getting, oh my gosh. Let me mute this. I just temporarily muted it because the dogs were going a bit crazy. I'm going to mute it again. So it when it moves to a new target, it tries to identify that it's pointing at the right place. So that's what it's doing now. Okay. Okay. So let me start imaging it. Meanwhile, hi there. Welcome to the stream. Oh, interesting. So this was something that came up. Somebody asked me about this, and like, so unfortunately, it's on this one. But if you look, see that can you see that? Or is it kind of blown out? Let me try to zoom in. See this little comet tail on the star? It normally it's pretty good about rejecting it's good about rejecting kind of vibrations and stuff, but it I think something happened and it ended up picking up. Now the good thing is by manually processing it, I can get rid of that. So the dogs just went crazy. So I quickly muted it. The last time I did a stream, I forget if they were not here or if they just were quiet. But anyway, so yeah, you can see that there's like this kind of glitch in the image, that trail, and it'll probably average out. But if it doesn't, I can fix it manually. Sorry, I keep muting it because there was even more chaos in the background. But as you can see, um, it's starting to get, it's actually like this is only with a minute and a half. Like some targets are better than others, definitely. Like Orion is crazy because you can see it very nicely in the live view. Because it's so bright. But some of the other targets take minutes of exposure. The monkey head's pretty decent. It fits within the frame. It's within a few minutes you can tell that there's something there. The Jellyfish Nebula was another one I've done. Let me show you in the album. I'm like showing photos from a photo album. But like this one was not 46-minute exposure, and it's so faint. And that's it. Actually, kind of continues on. Um, you know, it actually fills most of the frame, um, but you could barely tell. Uh, but I've taken a few imaging sessions and gotten like an hour and a half, 2 hours of data, and kind of combined them manually using Serial, and you can start seeing more of the Jellyfish Nebula, but it takes a lot to get there. Whereas, so that is 46 minutes, and you look at this of the monkey head, and that's also about 45 minutes, and yet you can see so much more. So it just varies. So I've generally, because of my location, I've been trying to focus on um, brighter nebula and stuff, brighter targets. Um, but yeah, this is you can start seeing color in here in the nebula, like some red and green, like mostly red, but some greens too. So that's turning out nicely. Um, Meanwhile, checking in on the checking in on this. This is turning out very nice, and this is not quite 13 minutes of exposure, and it's turning out nice. Um, Enthusiastic dogs in the background. I'm still here. I'm just kind of, um, I was trying to see if there were any galaxies we could look at tonight, but at least from my location. And it's not even from my location. It's my location as far as the building obstructions around me. A lot of them aren't quite visible yet. Let me look up one. Exactly. The dogs are very excited by my astrophotography. Definitely. So if you look at this right now, this particular galaxy is at 36 degrees. I keep, I need to remember to stay a little centered in the frame. Um, yeah, it's 36 degrees above the horizon, and it's to the east. And the problem is it has to be like 45 degrees for me to be able to image it. So it's still not there yet. So, and that's one of the ones I can see. So the good news and bad news, this Horsehead Nebula shot is going well, but there's now more artifacts around the stars, and I think it's because of the windiness. See, like you can you can see that comet effect there. That's on several of the brighter stars. So I'm gonna have to go through these frames and restack it because something happened during the exposure, and I need to try to fix it. So it's getting kind of loud in here. So let me step outside. Ah, check on the check on the telescope. Um, so yeah, it's to answer your question. There is a filter. There's an astro filter on these. I'm just trying to. I can barely see the camera because it's so dark. But yeah, so the Seestar has a filter built in, and it you can turn it on and off. It's this kind of um, there's basically a little button on it, and when you point it at certain targets, the filter will automatically turn on. It'll automatically go into play, kind of rotate into place, and then but yeah, so for the nebula photos, I'm definitely using the nebula the light pollution filter. But if I'm taking photos of the galaxies, like those galaxy photos I was showing, I did not use the light pollution filter. I was using, I just left it without it. And it's able to work around the light pollution for things like galaxies, more so than nebula. For nebula, you definitely want to use the light pollution filter. Let me see. I'm just checking on things. Things are fine, I think. Coming back in. All right. So let me see. So, oh, sorry for that, for the bumpy ride. Let me, there we go. Okay. All right. So if you look at, so looking at this, see here's, it's kind of dimmed out because I'm taking an exposure right now, but that is, that's, sorry, I'm like, you can see, sorry, that right there, it says filter. That's the fact it's green, the light pollution filter is on. And like I say, it automatically, depending on what target, so you can see, let me show you. When you go in and you search for a target, or actually let's go to the night's best. If you say, okay, I want to look at Orion Nebula. See this right here, it says recommended filter. So it will automatically engage the filter when you go point at one of these targets. And likewise, like this is a open star cluster, doesn't have the filter. So it's built into the software. It's really convenient. There's been a few times where I'll manually turn it on or off. But for the most part, I just kind of let it choose. So yeah, you can see for these galaxies, it doesn't have like this little green overlay on the icon. Those are ones that recommend the light pollution filter, like these star clusters don't. Now this nebula, it doesn't, and I think that's because it's not an emission. I believe it's like the difference between emission nebula and reflection nebula. Like it won't recommend doing it for reflection nebula. Like the fact the Pleiades, it doesn't have it turned on. But you can always go and manually turn it on before you start your exposure. So it's you still have control. So we are up to, yeah. So like, look, this is 8 minutes, and it's it's doing well. Wow. Remember I was saying there were issues with tracking. It's gotten worse with the other telescope. Now it's like on two different axes. So I'll have to go in and fix those afterwards. But yeah, I mean, this has been. I don't want to keep this going all night, this stream, but I might keep the imaging some of these targets for a bit longer. If anybody has any, but I might end the stream before too long. I had kind of marked that I would go as long as until 9, but I'm not sure if I've been having like these issues with I wasn't able to bring up both of them anyway, and both of the telescopes, but so I might be ending the stream soon. Does anybody on the stream have any other questions about it, or Are there any suggestions of things you want me to see, try looking at? Because I don't, I'm kind of constrained by my sky, but I can certainly see if it's something I can see. See, look at all these stack failures I'm getting here. But it's fine. I mean, it's still a nice result. I mean, you can definitely kind of start seeing kind of like, I presume this is the eye and the mouth of the monkey head. So it's turning out nicely. And I'll do that sometimes because I know I can combine the images afterwards. I'll take multiple sessions and even if after 10 minutes it starts having issues because of or there's a building in the way or something, I'll stop it and revisit it another day and just take multiple days and kind of combine them because it's sometimes easier to do than just kind of waiting. Not that waiting is a problem, it's just more that after a while, especially if it's starting to have a lot of stacking errors or like the conditions aren't ideal. Yeah, yeah, let's go back. I had done the rosette earlier, or I'd started on it very briefly, but let's see if we can get a better result. I mean, this isn't bad. This is, maybe I'll wait until, okay, it's at 10 minutes. I'm at 10 minutes now. So I think this is okay. We'll stop with that. And yeah, it's nice. And then actually, I might go ahead and stop this horsehead one and see if it synchronizes, because it would be interesting to share how that glitched so badly. I'm going to stop the other one. Okay, and let's move on to the rosette. Sorry, I'm just kind of, okay, let's go search, and that's the star cluster in the middle of the rosette. So now it's tracking over there. And we'll just have to wait for it to track. Okay, let's go. So yeah, you can see right here that it knows it's within the cluster, or that it's looking at a nebula, so the filter is turned on. If I click on that, it shuts it off. And like the image, it changes a little bit. Let me try imaging it without the filter on and see what happens. It'll be fine for the stars in the core of the rosette, but for the nebula itself, it might, well, we'll see. Now you definitely can start seeing a lot of stars pretty quickly. Let's see. Earlier I had started the rosette. Let's see how much data I had on that. This was 5-minute exposure. So let's maybe let this go. I'll let this go maybe for 5 minutes and see without the light pollution filter and see what the difference is. Now I can start seeing some of the nebulosity there. One of the dogs. Okay, so we're just still at a minute of exposure. I'll be right back. The dogs, I need to let them in to the other room. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm struggling to see some of the nebulosity. Okay, I might stop this after 2 minutes and try it again with the nebula filter on. Okay, that's 2 minutes. And you can start seeing some of the nebulosity there. But let's stop. Okay, I'm going to turn the filter on. Okay, and I'll start over. I think based on past experience, I'd have to probably get at least an hour or two worth of exposure for the rosette. Sometimes it does this on the first exposure, like it's having a tracking kind of issue, or maybe it's windy and it's like it rejects the first exposure. Yeah. It is windy outside here, so it's been struggling. Sometimes I end up putting the telescope closer to the house to kind of shield it from the wind, but I didn't this time because I was trying to get a little bit more of the sky, but see like it almost immediately. The one thing I think happens, I don't know for sure, but I feel like when you have the light pollution filter on, at least where I live, it has a harder time seeing some parts of the sky and has more tracking issues. That's not the case here, but I've definitely had that in some areas where it seemed like it had tracking errors. Maybe I'm just imagining stuff, but I feel like you can almost see more nebulosity, even though it's like the other one went for 2 minutes. And I feel like it's getting more. I don't know. I have wanted to take this telescope to a darker location just to see how it is in a place with a dark sky, but um, haven't been able to get out of town recently, at least not on a clear day or night. But no, unfortunately, I haven't. I've seen people who have, um, but I have not. It's on my list. It's on my list. I like there's some areas near here. When I say near here, within an hour car drive from here, where it gets probably like Bortle 5, maybe. Um, I have also wanted to kind of, I like this one area out in West Texas that's Bortle, like 1, 2 area. And if I go out there, I'm definitely taking this along because I'm curious to see what it would do in those kind of skies. Um, I pushed the wrong button. Another one of the dogs was visiting. I think I had that muted. Basically, I haven't used it outside of Bortle 8, 9. Yeah, I guess it might be a little bit better. Let's see what the other one, let's see. So like it's up to about that 2-minute mark where I stopped the last one. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's definitely like you can't quite see the whole kind of the void in the center of the rosette. Um, but you can like the one with the nebula filter, you can definitely see more detail, I think, in the nebula. So yeah, it definitely it's worth it for a mission nebula. Um, but yeah, I think I might. I still need to eat dinner, um, so I think I might go eat something. Um, but yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I might go republish this. Um, uh, I might republish this as a single video. So if you see it, um, it's the same video, uh, but basically to kind of combine the two sections and maybe chop out uh, the technical glitches and maybe clean up the audio, um, the chaos in the background. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'm gonna leave this Rosette Nebula photo going, and I'll share the final result and also of the horse head. But I think I'm gonna have to fix the horse head. I'll probably post them tomorrow once I've had a chance to fix the horse head one. But I'm gonna keep this one going as long as I can. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll let me switch. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll uh, see you all the next time. And sorry, I'm just looking at the screen. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.